you can fail doing what you don't love. So you might as well try what you love, and maybe you succeed, maybe you fail, but you're at least doing something that is inspiring to you and fulfilling to you.
It's too dark. That's nice. That's nice. Get that in focus. That's real nice. So today I'm interviewing Lars Classington, like you saw over there. And an actor in a bunch of commercials, a lot of stuff. I'm with a comedian, and I've just never had.
I need a tan.
Tan?
Yeah, so white. Every 45 minutes, just relather hats, like a big bonnet.
Is that the drill?
Yeah. So should we, like, do you kind of open up to camera as you're doing it? Or, like, are you just getting...
What does that even mean, open up to camera? You know more than
Well, just...
Don't worry. All right, we're both in frame, we're good.
We're looking good. I wore my tank top, so...
Show them where the beach is.
Yeah, this way?
Give it to them.
Where is it? This way?
Cherry Beach?
Which is this way?
Man, so we're here with Lars Classington. Is that how you say it, Classington?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. That's a beautiful name.
It is beautiful. I wish it was my real name, though.
Really?
It's a stage performer name.
Keep it.
Yeah. Oh, it is. It's pretty much me. It's like The Rock.
True.
And then later I'll revert to my Dwayne Johnson.
Yeah, when you get like one of those serious roles.
Yeah. Then
you can bring that out.
That's a long story, actually.
What, the whole Lars class?
Yeah, well, basically, my legal name is Joe Larson. And when I first started doing stand-up and YouTube videos and goofy shit... Sorry, my dog's biting. This is Luna here, everyone.
Oh, sorry.
Say hello
Introduce
to
the
Luna.
dog.
Yeah, I think that's why she was acting up, actually, because she
Sorry.
hadn't been introduced.
This is
like,
Luna.
What about me? Little showbiz dog. She's my agent, publicist. I was working I had a corporate job at the time, so I did it under like a nickname. Lars Classington was sort of a university nickname that some of my buddies had.
Okay.
Like a little stupid moniker, and so then I started to do stand up and having YouTube videos that weren't like corporate appropriate.
Yeah.
So I just went under my YouTube nickname, and then just as things progressed, never really stopped. And
just to make the separation.
Right. That was a little bit of it. And then there is a stand-up comic that headlining tours in the States, and his name is Joe Larson, but spelled different, spelled S-O-N.
Okay.
Yeah. We're starting off with some real exciting stuff here right now. We're talking about our names. Yeah, but I go by Lars now, and yeah, but you can call me Joe if you want to.
True.
Yeah, whatever. Basically, I'm getting eaten alive here by my dog. This was a terrible idea to bring you. I'm never going to bring you to one of these again. No, she's great. I take her everywhere.
You should.
But you need to chill out. Hey, kisses. 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 Here. Hey. There we go. All right. Look at how cute she is. Right? This is a dog that is... like she can be the cutest little angel, and then she can be an absolute terror at times too.
Jeez.
She's a crazy little bitch sometimes.
So with stand-up, when did you actually start stand-up? So you started at what, in college? 'Cause you're saying
No, I'm a late bloomer, man. I started when I was 31 in 2009. I actually answered an ad on Kijiji that said, "So, you think you want to be a comedian?" And
really?
Yeah. And it was a handful of guys in London, Ontario that were amateur, semi-pro, kind of up-and-comers, but they were starting to do their own shows at bars and restaurant and little like traveling small towns outside of London. So
yeah.
they were sort of auditioning for some new blood to be openers. And so I answered that, met with them, and they were like, oh, there's a Yuck Yucks amateur night this Wednesday or whatever the day was.
Really?
And we happen to know the MC. We'll give you a spot. And so like 2 days later, I remember throwing in my earbuds and walking downtown London. I was listening to like Eminem, 8 Mile and Lose Yourself and all that shit. Yeah, like
Mom Spaghetti.
B.I.G. Yeah, I would always listen to like B.I.G. It was all a dream. Like just those kind of like pump up music.
Really?
And yeah, but I clearly like felt on the way there that was like, okay, now my life's starting. Like this is the lane that I'm meant to be in, sort of
really?
Thing. Yeah. I was pretty hyped to get there, and set went amazing. I was super high energy, super like nervous, anxious, kind of bull in a china shop energy. Yeah. But the set went well, and I kind of got hooked and just never stopped.
Really?
After that.
That's how it started, eh?
Yeah. So 31. I was 31 in 2009. To answer your question.
Wow.
So I'm 9 years into.
True.
Just turned 40, which is crazy. But
yeah, that's gonna happen for me someday too. Turning 40.
How old are you?
Right now I'm 32.
Nice.
Just turned 32.
Nice.
That's why it's kind of cool that you're saying you started when you're 31, because like around 30 is when I really like. I was like, man, I should like try and do stand up. Like I should actually like
right.
Get out there, and like I've actually made like a bunch of sets and like done them on camera like by myself kind of thing, just to see what I look like.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
So just do it. What are you waiting for?
Yeah, I guess I
What's
should.
Holding you back?
Man, every time I think of like those 40 people just all looking at you.
Guess what happens if no one laughs?
What happens?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Like literally nothing. Like
you just
know what I mean? I mean, it's the worst feeling ever. When, like bombing, no matter what level you're at, like everybody bombs. Whether it's like, there's probably, if you polled all the like A-lister headliner stand-up comedians, probably it's 50-50 who bombed and who did well in their first set ever. So it's kind of like, it doesn't really matter no matter what. You just keep getting better, and you get more comfortable, and you figure out yourself, and you figure out your voice, and you figure out your writing, and figure out how to be on stage and all that shit. So it's like, the sooner you start, the better you'll be 10 years from now.
True. You know? That's very true.
And if you don't start, you're really gonna be shit, because like he's one of the, but you could be one of the greatest stand-up comedians of all time who never did stand-up comedy.
Right.
Think about that.
Oh fuck.
Let's go. Let's do it. Let's book something. Let's book something tonight. We'll just get you on like an open mic, and you can just go do 5 minutes.
Shut your mouth.
Probably.
How dare you?
We could, maybe not tonight if you don't want to do it tonight.
Well,
like if you want to prep, but
could you actually do that? Could you actually get me somewhere like tonight? Is that
probably?
Really?
Probably if I worded it properly on social media, saying, "Hey, I did a podcast with a guy who said he was always wanted to do stand up, and I challenged him to go on tonight." There's probably someone in the city that would give you 5 minutes.
Fuck. We might have to do that. God
all right.
Damn it.
We'll work it out. Oh, it's fun, man. Just go on stage and have fun. Honestly, my philosophy the whole time, like for me personally, I can't speak for other people, but usually if I'm having fun and I'm having a good time and whatever I'm doing, the bit or the story I'm telling is something that's fun for me, it normally goes well. And any times where I've had like quote unquote bomb or a show that didn't feel good, a lot of the times that's been like just me being in a weird headspace, or maybe me worrying about some certain scenarios. Like you can get to some shows and you can initially think, oh God, this is going to be brutal, just based on the venue or the setup, or just, sometimes.
You just walk in, you can just feel like the energy is low, or like stuff like that.
Yeah. Or if it's just the wrong, like you go to some venues and there's, like I've arrived at shows and like at a bar in a small town, and you arrive and you're like, yeah, hey, we're the comedians here for the comedy show. And then bar manager's like, oh, is that tonight?
Oh, shit.
Like where they did no promo for it. It was booked a few months ago, but they're just in the business of like selling beer and chicken wings, maybe not promoting and running a show. So you get there and I've done a show where there's the mic and then pool tables, dance floor. And then the audience is like where it's just set up horribly. What? Like, yeah, literally. Really? Like, and this, like, I'm no different. Every stand-up comedian has done the shittiest, weirdest gigs, but they're fun and you get to figure it out. And then it makes when you're actually in a nice comedy club where everything's set up and people are there to see a show and there's a stage and a mic and lights and all everything. That shit, then everything's like, oh, this is way easier than struggling in like an arena somewhere where nobody can hear you. And you just followed a fucking raffle, you know, like that kind of shit. Like mid set, there's an intermission and they do a silent auction, or like just weird really? Stuff like that.
Just weird things like that, eh?
Yeah, but it's great.
Wow.
Don't let that stop you.
Jesus, man.
I mean, maybe that's just me taking shit gigs. Maybe I just have to not take shitty gigs. You just have to, like in Toronto here, you could be out every night at bar shows, really? Open mic type shows.
Every night?
Yeah, guys who are like hardcore addicted, they'll go basically every night, multiple sets. Like they'll bounce around the city, do 5 minutes here, 7 minutes there, 10 minutes here. And
these are like vet types or like beginner guys?
Both. I would say both.
Really?
Some people they're working on stuff and that's all they do. I don't do it as much of that personally because I do a lot of TV and film stuff. So sometimes I'm writing and filming, or I'm doing stuff at the studio.
Time,
yeah, it's just I also like to do other stuff. Some guys are so like focused, they only do stand up. That's their one love. They don't really care so much about acting or any of that kind of shit. Luna, come on. Get up here. Come on. But like hardcore, like there's guys in the city that do like 30 sets a week, really? Especially when you start. Like that's what they say. Like if you're doing 1,000 of these interviews in 1,000 days, I would suggest challenge yourself. If you're starting stand up, do like 100 sets in 100 days, or 50 and 50 or something like that.
Oh man.
You know?
That's actually a good idea.
And if you announce it and promote it properly, like it is hard to get spots in the city. There's a ton of comedians. So if you're just like, hey, give me a spot on your show, like people are gonna be like, fuck you, who the hell are you? But if you set it up like a project, and I bet you could totally pull that off.
Wow. Never thought
I should do that. Never mind. I'm gonna stop giving you good ideas for your career.
You go and do that.
Unless I'm your manager or agent. I'll take 20% of your stand-up career.
20%?
10.
Jeez.
15.
10? 15?
Well, what's fair? I'm responsible for starting your career potentially.
I know, right?
Maybe I should take 50.
That was a huge jump. Jesus.
I'm a good negotiator. What can I say?
So you started that journey 9 years ago.
Yeah.
And so when did the TV and acting, like all that stuff, start for you?
I feel like when I started stand-up, it was my long-term goal was always TV and film. I sort of started stand-up because it was the easiest thing to do.
Just to
start.
Into.
Yeah, you don't have to like. You could get a. I got some dry mouth here.
Don't worry.
President's Choice Natural Spring Water.
You'll only see that on Canadian podcasts.
It'll wet your mouth. Sorry, where were we? What was the question?
The TV and
I was always a big fan. When I was a kid, I was a fan of Saturday Night Live, Kids in the Hall. What else? In Living Color, like all sketch comedy shows. I'd seen a bit of stand up. Like when I was younger, I saw Jim Carrey stand up. I remember Brian Regan. Obviously, Seinfeld was a little later, but I was really a fan of sketch comedy, Saturday Night Live being probably the biggest one. So I always saw those guys as like, oh man, that's king of the world to me. Yeah. But I never, when I was younger, I didn't do theater really. And I did in grade 8, I did Grease. That was it. That was Kinnicky in Grease. So I sang the Grease Lightning song in grade 8. But then I did sports. I was sports. Okay. I was never close to anyone. I'm from Orillia, Ontario, which is...
Oh, really?
Which there actually is a lot of theater and musical theater and a lot of arts and culture there. But I was just involved in sports. So it was a late blooming thing to me. But I was always a huge fan from a distance.
Yeah.
And I sort of like... if I would see someone on TV, or especially comedians like Chris Farley or Mike Myers or... Will Ferrell, Jim Carrey, obviously, all those guys. I was like idolizing them.
Yeah.
But I was never really around it. Like when I was younger, I didn't see stand-up shows, so it never seemed like a real thing that I could do.
Yeah, definitely.
And then somewhere around 2009, I just started to be like, hey, I guess there's got to be people doing this somewhere. Just like figure it out.
Definitely.
And I think that was also a dawn of like YouTube and seeing more videos online and just being like, oh, look at all these people doing it. And you could follow someone who was, you saw them as an unknown on YouTube, and then a few years later you're like, oh shit, now they're doing like Comedy Central things.
Yeah.
Whereas I think back before the internet, you'd only see people once they've already made it. Like they're on the Tonight Show and that's it. But you wouldn't see their like the very first video they did in their bedroom that blew up and made them viral. So the TV and film, long story, I'm rambling here.
Don't
I feel you're like, cut to the fucking chase and answer the question. I need to give you quick punchy sound bites. So the question was TV and film.
Yeah.
Stand-up was the easiest thing to get on stage. You don't need, like, if you have a troupe or a sketch troupe or a theater group, you got to audition, you got to schedule with other people.
Yeah.
But stand-up, you literally just show up, and as long as there's a microphone, and sometimes even if there isn't a microphone, you can still do a show. So it was just easy. I felt it was an easy way for me to showcase myself. I could write little characters, write little funny ideas, do little act outs. I do a lot of musical comedy, so I sing, use my guitar. So I always treated stand-up like almost like an audition for TV and film, or a showcase for TV and film. Then I moved to Toronto in 2013 specifically to start doing stand-up full-time, like going out most nights and just getting on more stages, but also to get an agent and start doing TV, film, commercials. So, and that's what I still do. I still do TV, film, commercials, theater, stand-up, voiceover, kind of spinning all those plates at once. And so far, that's like made the beginnings of a career.
Wow.
But I'm still an up and comer. So if you're watching this and you're like, who the fuck is Lars Classington? Exactly, you and me both. But so far so good. I feel like in the 9 years, I've accomplished a lot, and it's been a really fun ride, and I've been a part of like a ridiculous amount of amazing shows and TV, film projects and theater projects. So far so good.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So then, when it comes to the whole, I was actually gonna ask, when it comes to stand-up comedy, how does it actually work when you go there? Do they want to know what you have prepared, or do they just don't give a shit? There's like, you got 5 minutes, and you're like,
at the shows,
like when you go like open mics and stuff like that.
Okay, the only time that anyone would ever care what you're going to be doing is if it's a TV set for like just for laughs, like those kind of sets, or like a late night talk show set. A lot of the times you have to actually submit like a transcript of your act that gets approved, and they'll be like, I don't know if you can say dildo on late night, and they'll like, oh, can you say it? Like they'll tweak it if need be, or they'll say, can you soften this, or can you need to remove this altogether?
Wow.
At shows, like especially open mics and shows around town, there's none of that. They
just don't care.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like hate speech and crazy shit like that is like, it's probably not going to go over too well, but but that is the nice thing about stand-up comedy, especially, is it is one of the last sort of free speech, free art. Like it is very democratic in that way, that you can sometimes go to these open mics and there is somebody fucking ranting off, and you're like, who the fuck is this insane person here?
Really?
Maybe they're just an insane person. Maybe they're just a bad stand-up comedian or a new stand-up comedian. But
a little bit of both.
Yeah, you'll see some great stuff as a new stand-up comedian hitting open mics.
Man, I actually really want to do that.
Do it, man.
Especially hearing you talk about it, it's pretty cool. Because I've never heard about anybody talk about it like from the beginning. Usually you're seeing guys, they're already 10 years in, and like they're just that's the narrative, right?
Yeah, it was just. When I was in London, there's not a ton of shows at the time, so I was doing maybe getting on stage a couple times a week. But I was lucky enough to meet a buddy of mine, Jeff Leeson, who's a great stand-up comedian who tours across Canada, just filmed his second special. And we started working on a late night talk show in London called London Tonight with Jeff Leeson, where I was a writer and a sort of co-producer and sort of the sidekick announcer guy. and he started taking me as an opener with him on his out of town show. So he was a touring pro. Okay. We dipped into the States a few times, and he would have me as his opener, doing sometimes 5 minutes, sometimes 10, 15, 20. Eventually I was hosting. Sometimes we would be co-headlining or co-featuring, where I'd open the show with like 45 minutes and then he'd close it with 45 to an hour, sort of a two-hander in random places. So finding people that and I feel like stand-up comedy community is really good for this, is you'll find your tribe, and sort of guys will take you under your wing, or you'll find some buddies that you'll like do shows together with, or you'll book a show and you'll all hop in a car and do your own little mini tour.
Yeah, just because you guys all gel, so it's like, why not just go on the road with this guy?
But it is a very lone wolf kind of existence, because it's not always the case. Like once you get, often at some points when you're a headliner, you're booked as the headlining solo act in some places, like if it's a corporate show, so you're just showing up there. So
that's pretty cool. Man, so what was it like the first time on stage? Like you said, like you're just full of energy. Do you remember what you said at all, or no?
I mean, vaguely. Somewhere I have a set list. I'm pretty sure the opening, again, I saw it more of as a sketch comedy sort of audition type display. So I'm not the type that just sits back and nonchalantly tells stories. Like, this is way more chill than my stand-up act.
Yeah,
like if anyone's watching this right now, they're like, this seems kind of boring. This guy doesn't seem to be amazing and hilarious. So I'm just big and loud, and when I was backstage, I was just kind of firing myself. I remember firing myself up, and I at the time was through business, was into like motivational speakers and things like that, and like what's the word, like
like Tony Robbins playing.
I'm grasping for the word right now, but when you're what's the word when you're like saying something to yourself?
Like affirmation.
Yeah. So affirmation. So I remember being backstage, like in the stairwell, like totally 8 Mile'ing. I've got my earbuds in. I'm listening to that, and I'm like, you were born for this. You were made for this. These people are gonna love you. This is your strength. Like, you're hilarious. You're gonna have so much fun out there. Like, people, like, it was just like that's that amazing. Telling myself, just because part of you is like, holy fuck, this is terrifying. Like, and it was almost like a blackout experience.
Really?
Like, it was just on stage, go, crazy. And then it's all over like a whirlwind. And it was just like, oh man, that felt amazing. Like, it was a rush, but it was kind of like, what the fuck happened? I don't think I had that first set videoed, but like, I have some of my first like maybe 5 or 10 sets.
Really?
Ever. I have the videos. Yeah. I think I started back then. I didn't know how to start, so I would just want to come out big. So I literally started. I'll reenact it right here, and I might blow your speakers out. Turn your volume down at home if you're listening to this. Mic a little. So I'd come out. They'd up next. This is his first time to the stage, Lars Classington, and I would run out, grab the mic, and just and just high energy shit kind of thing. Just like initially just basically gave myself my own big introduction so I could start high and just maintain that kind of thing. Part of that's just laziness and not knowing, like, some people just walk out on stage and they just say something that's so funny, you know, and just everyone laughs. Mm-hmm. I'm more like, I'm just going to be a big loud idiot and see how people respond to that. So, Luna, it's just me.
You scared the shit out of your dog.
It's just me. Yeah,
it's
like, just me.
What is happening now?
She's barking. It sounds like a heckle.
She was like, yeah, that's not funny at all.
It's like, get out of here. Yeah. I don't do that anymore. I don't start like that. But I'm generally pretty high energy. I do a lot of like sort of characters or sketchy type things. Fake commercials and I mean, I sometimes will tell some stories on stage. I do a lot of goofy music, sort of in the genre of like Jack Black, Adam Sandler kind of goofy songs.
Yeah, you're very theatrical. I was watching like your commercial reel and everything like that, all the reels you have on YouTube, and it's very, very theatrical. It's and you mentioned Jim Carrey and Chris Farley, and you can see all that. definitely.
Right.
When you're doing your thing.
That was just always the easiest muscle for me to flex, was like be big and be loud, because I already was both of those things for the most part. You know, actually, that's a funny. I wanted to share this. I was thinking about this on the way over.
Sure.
And I didn't really think this at the time, but now when I retrospectively think back to the time when I started, I think that I would drink way more if I didn't do stand-up and wasn't an actor and didn't do all these crazy things. Because at the time when I was younger, like university, like all of my 20s basically, I was working a corporate job, but then you'd party with your buddies at night or on the weekends, and that was my time to be Mr. Crazy Guy.
Yeah.
So you're at the bar, you're doing shots, you're drinking, and then you're up on stage if there was one, or you're hitting the dance floor, or you're like starting chants at the bar, and just on the street after the bar, you're doing crazy shit and running around and like stealing people's hot dogs and like just just like goofy like I don't know, just goofy Animal House kind of shit. Animal House. But then I started realizing that I was like, for me, that's basically why I was getting blackout drunk, partying in my 20s, was just for the fun of the crazy party kind of thing. And then you get a little older and you're like, holy fuck, I feel like shit. I'm spending all this money. I'm hungover. Like I would get now I get like 2-day hangovers. So I don't drink so much because I just feel like I don't feel like a train hit me for 2 days, but I just feel like
you can feel it.
You just feel more depressed and lazy, and you don't feel like inspired to do things. Yeah. So definitely. Really when I started doing stand up, really quickly, that ended up like being my creative outlet, and then from there writing and doing TV, film, and theater. That's my play crazy time, so that in the rest of my life I can kind of be more subdued and more chilled, and don't need to be like crazy party guy. Yeah,
it gives you that outlet so you don't have to go nuts in real life.
Right. But I can still turn it on. We can if anyone wants to do, it's very warm. It's the hottest day of the year so far in Canada, or in Toronto right now. Yeah. So if anyone wants to hit the patio and do a bunch of tequila shots, tonight's the night. Am I right? Let's do it.
Yeah, pretty much.
We're going to do a bunch of shots. You're going to get shit-faced drunk, and you're going to go to your first set hammered drunk blackout, so you don't remember it, but I'll video it for you.
Man, that's how I got my first tattoo. Didn't work out well.
Nice.
It's a lot of blood. And
nice. So that was something that I wanted to share, because for me, that's... I mean, I still drink and I still get drunk, and I can still like
steal hot dogs.
I haven't done that in a while. Actually, no, I legitimately pay for my hot dogs.
Don't forget where you came from, man.
One time this was in university. I went to Western in London. There was a night where, you know how they at a street meat vendor, they'll just have like a giant stack of sausages and hot dogs, just kind of locked and loaded kind of thing. Exactly. And we just I think one of us did a fake out over here, and then he looked that way, or like he reaches down into the cooler to grab a pop and just double fist hot dogs, like into my pocket, run around the street. But okay. I was a Robin Hood. So then I'm just dishing out hot dogs to all these drunk people in London on Richmond Street, like the Johnny Appleseed of hot dogs.
Yeah, I was going to say you were a saint.
Right.
For that time, you were a saint. To all those drunk people, for sure.
That poor man's family starved because he had to mortgage his house and lost everything because he couldn't afford to pay back the loss of his hot dogs.
You destroyed his life, pretty much.
But I enhanced so many others. It's kind of one of those moral dilemmas. Right? You know, what do you do? Destroy one life for the betterment of like probably 20 people that night were like free hot dog. So I don't know, viewers at home, listeners at home, weigh in.
Yeah, you gotta make that decision yourself. You know,
I'm sure that didn't ruin him. He looked like he was doing pretty well. He had a very busy corner outside, multiple bars.
I was gonna say he's in London selling hot dogs.
He had a stack of hot dogs there.
Killing it.
He was doing great.
Unless he was part of like a hot dog mafia. And then they were like, "Where's 20
they were like,
hot dogs?"
Hey, the numbers don't add up. Where this 20? And he's like, honestly, I don't know. I don't know.
It. And then somebody found him with like 18 hot dogs shoved into his rectum, kind of thing.
Yeah, in the bottom of the Thames River in London. Right?
Sorry, guys.
It's the butterfly effect. Who knows? Now I feel guilty thinking back. Now you've reversed the moral dilemma. I thought that the 20 people was better, but now that guy's dead at the bottom of a river.
Right.
Thanks to my tomfoolery.
And that's why I need to start doing stand-up comedy, so I don't wreck someone's life.
Right. You can do all your crazy shit just on stage, and then you can be a normal person in regular life.
That is true. That is true, because as somebody who hasn't done comedy yet, and you want to, you find yourself, you're giving the jokes out. You're putting it out there. You're really performing when you're around people.
Yeah? Is that why you want to do it?
Yeah.
Just because you're like, I am killing it at all these cocktail parties right now. When I'm at the subway platform and I'm just bebopping and scatting with these people, you know? Is that what's happening? You're just lighting up bus shelters and like Uber pools. Wherever. You just got your Uber poolers just dying.
So I'm like, man, I got to give it a try. If I can get one person to laugh outside of the class, I feel like I can get like a room of people to laugh.
Right.
I feel like I could.
For sure you can. If you're having fun. The advice that I always hear for newbies is A, get on stage as much as you can.
Yeah.
And then B, talk about stuff you know versus trying to like be fake or like make up fake funny stories. Like if you're going to do it storytelling, tell funny stories in your real life. If you're going to be like more like stand-up bits about like your opinions on life, then make them your actual truthful opinions so that you don't have to like lie and then get caught in your own weird lies or come across as unauthentic or whatever.
Yeah, it's contrived and everything.
Down the fort. And we're back.
Thank you.
That was seamless.
Man. So I was going to ask you about your process towards stand-up, but after like hearing everything, it's like, it's almost like your process to stand up and acting are kind of the same because you're so theatrical when you're on stage. So are there any, well, I should ask, are there a lot of similarities there for you? Like, did like what you do on stage transfer over really well to to being in front of the camera?
Yes and no. There's differences to both.
Okay.
I think, you want to be in the moment and you want to be spontaneous. And for me, I like doing things that are, quote unquote, abnormal or extraordinary. Like it's something that I actually need to learn. And when I do like so-called like straight acting roles that isn't necessarily a crazy comedic role, it feels awkward for me to just be a normal like human being who's not making a funny face or doing something weird physically. Like, so it's, and I don't know if that's just my own insecurity about me as a normal human. Like I maybe feel like I gotta be something extra to be comfortable.
Maybe.
I'm still figuring this shit out. I'm very like psychoanalytic of my own, like, why am I doing this stuff?
Well, that is how Chris Farley was.
Right.
He had the exact same thing.
Yeah, it's like an insecurity to be like, oh, I got to be bigger. But in TV, you actually can't be as big as you are on stage, on camera, because it's usually close-ups and it just doesn't translate. Or if it is a close-up and you're moving around, you're leaving frame.
That's true.
And a lot of the times in film, you're having close-up conversations and the audience is basically the person in front of you. Like they're feeling like if we're having an intimate moment in film, the audience feels like they're right there beside you. Whereas in theater, you're filling a whole room. You're basically playing to the back of the room in stand-up or in a theater production where you're being big and loud, you're moving around. But in TV and film, it's usually like, sorry, Luna, you're usually just at some point you're just planting your feet for the close-up and you just gotta deliver it, kind of thing.
Okay.
So it's a little different.
Yeah, it is. So then what made you want to do that? Because that seems like something that it's kind of taking you away from that big person, that big personality. It's kind of, I don't know, I want to say like houses you.
I guess maybe to answer that, it doesn't do that much. Like if you look at like Ace Ventura, Pet Detective, obviously Jim Carrey's being crazy. It's just some things at some moments have to be dialed back.
Okay.
It's almost more so just technically so that the camera can catch it, or so that you remain in frame, or do the crazy stuff in the wide shot, and then when it's a little tighter, you might have to be a little more subdued.
Okay.
But I don't really mean that in a character way. Like you can't be obviously you've seen a million movies with wacky, crazy, out there, ridiculous, insane characters. So it's more so like physically and maybe volume wise, you might tone stuff back a bit.
Okay. That makes sense. So when it comes to acting, and like you're on TV, you're doing the commercials and everything. How do you prepare for your characters? Like, what's the process with that?
Oh my God, I'm gonna be exposed as a fraud when I don't have a good answer. I don't know. I just read the words a bunch of times and show up and hope it works out. I mean, you do a variety of things. Like for me, it has to be, for me, I need some reps of saying it, and so I need like actual live rehearsal on my feet to just to practice it versus I mean, I think every actor needs that. But you do a little bit of script analysis. So some people will be going through the script, taking notes, circling certain words, writing their notes, like sort of paraphrasing what's my subtext here, like this line, it's written like this, but how am I actually saying it? Like shit like that. People go through it just to get the facts, like who am I, where am I, what am I, who am I talking to, what's our relationship, all those sort of things to help kind of complete the puzzle. So I guess a lot of it is in the writing. Like most of your characters should be in the writing by the time you get it, and then you're just kind of putting your spin on it, I guess.
That makes sense.
Me personally, I spend a lot of time, because I am more physical, especially if it is a comedic role. Like oh yuck, I did it was a kids comedy show, so that was very big, also very theatrical, is because you can just be bigger and louder and more of a character, a little crazier in a kids comedy. And I played like the lazy janitor kind of wacky. I played a pretty wacky character, but for that I was literally rehearsing. And then as I'm rehearsing, I'm trying to figure out how I can say things in a certain way that are funny, facial expressions that I can do, little physical things that I can do. I'm basically punching up the script to figure out where can I get laughs. But all in a way that's like in my wheelhouse, like not trying to do something that's going to seem weird because I'm going to seem like I'm faking or whatever. Like what are my strengths? What can I bring to the script that are my strengths? And
so you kind of approach it like that. That makes sense. Because because I'm always thinking, because like eventually I want to be like in a director position. So it's really cool to hear how like you guys think about it. So like you're going through the script, you're circling words, you're trying to actually bring yourself to the character,
right? Like
your actual self to the character.
Yeah, for sure, because it is you. Like, there's no escaping when you're recording something, or when you're any TV film. Like, it is me. It's my body. It's my voice. It's my movement. It's my thoughts. So, I mean, you're playing a version of yourself in some imaginary circumstances. I guess is the easiest way to put it.
And you even feel like right down to the thoughts, it's important.
Yeah, big time. Yeah, like what's your perspective on things? What are you actually thinking? Because it's not just the words. Most conversations, like you could take the transcript of a conversation, and read it, and then watch a video of that same conversation, be like, oh fuck, that was actually what was going on, and it's just because there's all these little subtext or things going on between like how they were saying it to each other. You know what I mean? Am I making sense right now?
No, that makes perfect sense. I just got to tell the people upstairs to shut up.
I can't hear them.
I can. It's annoying me.
Yeah, everyone's got their different stuff. It's like some people just, they read and read and read it and say it and say it and say it. Like they say their lines over and over and over again.
I was gonna say,
in different scenarios.
Do you go about it like that, or you're just like you have to be in it? Like you're just, because you said like you have to actually have like live rehearsal.
Right. I find I do both just out of necessity. I do my own stuff at home where I'm like learning my lines, but saying them, I like saying them out loud versus just like writing them down or memorizing them sort of thing. And then if I can rehearse, I can rehearse. There's apps too where you can basically you can upload the script and then record the other characters in there, and then leave a blank for your section so that you basically rehearse with yourself a little bit, which is okay for the beats a little bit. But then on the day when you're actually doing it, you don't know what the actors are going to do. Their timing could be totally different. They could say things kind of with different intention or different meaning or different intensity. Like you might be thinking they're gonna yell this line, and they whisper it to you and give you a little smile. So, but you were reacting, like you were rehearsing to react. It's like
very big.
Yeah, so you can't overreact stuff either, because at the end of the day, you gotta be in the moment as it's happening and playing with the other actor and responding to them in the moment and reacting to what they're actually giving you as well.
So, I just want to talk about writing real quick. I just want to jump back to comedy. How do you go from just being on stage, making random sets, to, you said you were like working with somebody, you were writing at one point for them and everything like that. Like, how does that come about? Like, is it just like from doing set after set after set, now you have like the crux of a writer? Or is it like a conscious decision, like, okay, I'm going to start writing for people now? Or...
I think it's both, I guess. Like a lot of stand-up comedians eventually end up as writers too. Definitely. Sometimes it's out of necessity to pay bills, and they're like, oh, I'm a really good writer. There are some stand-up comedians that are more writers. Like, I would say I'm more actor. Like, if there's writer on one end who, like, on this end of the spectrum, you're like really hates being on stage and isn't that much a performer, and then on this someone like Chris Farley, who maybe didn't write a whole lot but he's amazing on stage. I'm probably like 60-40 performer writer, 70-30 maybe. Okay. Something like that, if that makes sense. So I think it's just a choice for some guys. They just like, okay, on paper, I think that's obviously it, is if you want to be a writer, it has to, on paper, you need to read it and it needs to be funny. Yeah. Whereas there's probably some things that a lot of comedians do on stage that if you were to, again, look at the transcript, it wouldn't be funny at all. Yeah. But the way they did it, the physical things, how they said it, the inflection of their voice, the stupid face they did, the little act out actions, the timing of it. That's a difference. I mean, ultimately you want to strive for both, is you would like to look at them be on paper. So if you're reading it as a joke, or if it was just a meme and a picture and the words were there, ultimately you want that to be funny. Plus, then when you add the physical stuff, it's even funnier. Okay. But
so that kind of thing.
It's different for some people.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, because Tom Segura, I heard him in an interview. He's like, if you wrote down my set, he's like, you'd think I was the most horrible person in the world. Right. If you just sat there and read it, you'd be like,
but he's saying problems. It tongue in cheek. You know, there's a little sarcasm. Yeah. He's a fucking stand-up comedian, so all of this is presumably meant to be funny and meant to be a joke. He's not saying all this horrible shit as just a horrible person on the side of the street talking to a stranger. It's in the context of a comedy club and a comedy show. Yeah. So right away, people should give some slack a little bit and not be so offended. Like, oh my God, he said something horrible. Okay, he was joking. Sorry to offend you. Like,
he actually did get a big backlash. He said
for what?
He said retard. He's talking about retards. Can't say retard. He said it way too much, I guess. He said it with way too much gusto, I guess.
Right. That'll get you. Well.
Yeah, it's what do you think about that whole PC era that's come about right now? Because you're a little older than I am, so like you've obviously seen the change. Right. That's come in comedy, and you've probably even lived through a bit of it.
I think it's like anything. There's pros and cons to it, and it's a spectrum. It's a slippery slope. Like, on the one hand, there are probably some shitty things that shouldn't be said about people who are like, they talk about punching down versus punching up. Like, you can make fun of rich people, make fun of celebrities, make fun of politicians, but don't make fun of the, like, I don't know,
the
like
door guy,
a homeless native person who's an alcoholic because of their situation, or don't make fun of retarded people, or like people. But at the same time, there are a lot of people who are overly offended, or feeling like I'm entitled to be offended, or I'm entitled to shut you down if you offend me. Like, that's borderline, like, weird, like fascism.
Yeah, I was gonna use that word. Yeah, it really is.
Like, we can't live in a society like that where nobody can say something that upsets someone because they have a different belief system. That's insane. Where all of a sudden you're like, I'm getting fined because I offended you, or I made you feel bad, or I'm going to jail. Yeah. Like, I'm going to jail because I said a certain word. Like, at the end of the day, it's sticks and stones.
That's true.
But I mean, also words are powerful too. So if you're using your words to incite hatred and fire up neo-Nazi movements and racist scenarios, then that's probably shitty.
Yeah, exactly.
But
probably. I'm sure some of you guys are.
By probably, I meant that's for sure shitty. Unless you're doing it in a hilarious way.
Yeah. Whoever's pulling it off.
Right.
Kudos to you.
I mean, there's a little bit of, are you saying something? Is it really hurtful, or is it just, I don't know how to, I don't even know how to answer it. But I know that if you can't just sweepingly across the board say like everybody watch their mouths.
Yeah.
Like
exactly, because then it gets very Orwellian.
Yeah, and stand-up comedy traditionally has been very leading edge on the cusp of free speech. Like people like George Carlin back in the day, and being able to swear on television and talk about the Vietnam War and be edgy and things like that. Like that's always been part of stand-up.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Yeah, and I think you did answer it perfectly. Like you can't. I don't know. Like you don't want to have the hate speech, but you also don't want to just stop people from talking and having conversations, because that's what a lot of stand-up comedy does. It engages people in like conversation about things, and it does in like a neutral forum, because like you laugh about it and then like you can talk about it a little bit. It's
right, and that's the point of comedy in stand-up and in our life always is to inject some fun or humor or some just levity into shitty situations.
Yeah,
like think about in your life, like you've been in shitty situations where somebody broke the tension with a crack that was completely inappropriate, but you get that we're all joking and you're all feeling a certain shitty way. Like I feel like everyone's been at like a funeral or at like a wake or something shitty, and you're around people you love or you're very tight friends, and somebody says this horrible off-color joke that everybody knows is a joke, but it makes everyone feel a little better, brings everyone together, and helps them deal with this shitty situation.
Yeah.
But if you fucking took that joke and printed it and put it on the newspaper, like say, look, this overheard at grandma whatever's funeral, then all of a sudden you're the worst human being in the world, and you're like ostracized, and either your job is telling you that you have to resign and all kinds of crazy shit, right?
Yeah, it gets kind of nutty. Yeah, I always like, because I've never sat with a comedian, so it's always cool to hear their stance on that whole thing, because it's like it's getting to be like a lot. It's like a lot.
I'm honestly a bad example for that, because my entire my opinion should barely count in this, because my act is so goofy and fluffy and silly. Like there's nothing edgy or like political about my act, like,
which is good.
I guess. The complaint on my act would be like, that bozo was awfully loud, wasn't he? Like that would be like, oh man, that was so silly. Like that. So that's kind of the most that I would ever get at my act. I mean, if I'm in a situation where if the venue and the show is conducive to swearing, I'll drop F-bombs and swear like I would in normal life with my buddies.
Fuck yeah.
There you go. Right? Fuck yeah.
Give it some of
Feels good. Fucking right.
Fucking right.
Fucking right. Well, fuckity fuck all over this motherfucker.
That's what I mean. There you go.
Right?
But some places you can't do that, I guess.
No, corporate places where everyone pretends that nobody swears because there's an HR manager, and if someone's offended, they can lose their job, which I understand. It's like your money and your livelihood. Yeah. But it's funny how you'll do a corporate gig and they'll tell you like, okay, yeah, just no swearing. And meanwhile, like, that Bob and Doug and Tracy and all in their smoke breaks are swearing and talking about shit, and
as they're watching you, they're like, this fucking guy.
Shit.
How come he doesn't swear?
Right?
I don't know, he's a pussy or something.
That's happened. That sometimes happens where you're sort of told up front that like, keep it clean, and then you arrive and they're like, the note when I was booked said keep it clean. Does that mean no swearing across the board? And the guy's like, fuck no. These are the boys. Like, this is the sales team here. Like, come on, you can drop some F-bombs. I mean, like, keep it reasonable. But so it's like you really never know what you're gonna get.
That's really cool. That actually makes me want to do it so much more, because I like the whole not knowing what you're gonna get. That's why I'm doing this, because I just like meeting new people and just on the fly, just talking and.
public speaking is the number one fear of most people. So there is that like anxiety, and then the added pressure of I'm not just speaking, but the intention is to get all of these strangers to laugh at me and enjoy myself. That's a little extra pressure than just going out and doing like a TED talk that's very dry or whatever, you know.
Exactly. I don't know. Maybe I'll do some mushrooms beforehand or something.
Oh, that would be I feel like that would be a terrible idea.
Are you sure?
But as long as you're filming it, film it and document it. That's a great idea. 100 mushrooms in 100 shows in 100 days.
Wow. Jesus. No, you can't do mushrooms every day. That'll throw you right off.
That would fuck you up, right? Yeah. Imagine that. This guy, what happened to this guy? He did mushrooms 100 days in a row.
Yeah. I've never in a row.
That could be like your Morgan Spurlock kind of what's the other guy's name that did Columbine, Bowling for Columbine, and
Michael Moore?
Yeah, Michael Moore. This is your big documentary kind of thing where you like
I get to be the guy
hit the stage,
does mushrooms, and that'd be some life. If I could make that into a career, I guess I would give you 50%. If that turns out,
right,
I'm giving you 50% for sure.
Right, it's worth a try. If we have any mushroom companies out there looking to sponsor an up and coming comedian,
if there's a mushroom company out there, please get my contact.
Is that a thing?
I don't even know. I hope it is. I got mushrooms tatted all over my arm.
Really?
Yeah. Man.
Oh wow. See?
Yeah.
It was meant to be.
Right? Not fucking.
That's crazy. I didn't even see those.
Really?
Either. That's a sign. That's a huge sign right there.
This is gonna be.
They were there the whole time, or I just invoked those into existence by all this mushroom talk.
Well, the thing is that I spike all the water in here with mushrooms.
I'm on mushrooms
so
right now.
Probably see. Yeah, take another sip. Go ahead.
Wow. PC natural spring water. Who knew? Mushroom infused.
Yeah, no, they've been here the whole time.
That's a weird mushroom that makes you just see mushrooms.
Right?
Mushroom tattoos. What's with all the mushrooms?
Man, I'm just a big advocate for like psychedelic therapy.
Nice.
Yeah. Mushrooms have really helped change my life a whole bunch.
Wow. We can talk about that on a whole other episode sometimes.
Yeah.
I've done mushrooms probably maybe a half a dozen times.
Really?
And all but my first time were great. Super fun. Very giddy, very mellow with friends.
Yeah.
I never do too much. I don't know about you, but I know some people who have like, they do like a lot, like purposely, like they like want to give themselves a nervous breakdown and go to the edge, and then realize that nothing is nothing, or everything is nothing, or whatever, but everything is everything, or
that's right,
whatever. Tear it all down and build it all up. But
yeah,
I've never had to go that far though.
No,
I just like to get giggly and kind of see some like little visuals and go on nature walks.
That's nice.
Chill out with my friends.
Yeah, if you're just with friends in nature, that's actually beautiful.
The first time I ever did them was horrifying.
Why?
I arrived late at a house party where they were all doing mushrooms.
Okay.
My buddy Crazy Dave is there, and he's kind of shepherding me. He's like, "Oh man, we're all on mushrooms. Like you gotta catch up." So he gives me a bunch, and I'm like, "Okay, all right." And they're not kicking in, so I'm like, I don't know. He's like, "Do you feel anything yet?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I'm a big guy, so I probably need a little more than the average person." So he's like, "Here's some more." Probably a little too early in the process, so I probably shouldn't have got the little re-up. And then I'm used to being a bar guy, going to the bar dance club. So we're in Barrie, which isn't the town I'm from. So I have the bright idea of let's go to the bar.
Oh man!
And so we go to this crammed, sweaty, jam-packed, low-ceiling bar, and I spent the entire night like oscillating between I'm having the best time ever to like, oh my god, I gotta get out of here, to am I even human, to are all these people dead and we don't realize it. Like it was a weird, trippy, like I think there was a guy with like a cast, and maybe there was a guy with crutches and someone in a wheelchair, just serendipitously that night at the bar.
Yeah.
So my mushroom brain was like, and there was also weird lighting, so people looked like maybe somebody had an eye patch too. It was just it seemed like an abnormal like percentage of people with injuries and or medical shit going on. So I just started thinking in my head, I couldn't get it out of my head actually, that maybe we're all in like limbo somewhere, or heaven or hell, or whatever whatever we were, where we've all died like in horrible car accidents, but we don't know it, and we're just all partying still, like on a Saturday night in Barrie, like dancing to like the latest dance hits. But I'm looking around, somehow I can see it, and like, man, you're dead. So and I spent the whole night like doing that, and then anytime someone just would like casually approach me, and just so I would kind of post up by the bar, and if someone would dance their way over to me or be there getting a drink and turn to me and be like, "Hey man, how are you?" I felt obliged to constantly just be like, "Pretty good, but pretty fucked up on mushrooms though." And my buddy Dave's like, "Man, just stop telling people you're all on mushrooms. Let's chill out." I'm like, I don't know what else to say. I feel like I'm freaking out. So I feel like it's just easier for me to tell them up front. Like, in case you're like wondering why I'm so fucking weird right now, it's because I'm flipped out on mushrooms.
Wow.
The bartender kept coming over, and I kind of had it in my head that she was some kind of like trolley sort of figure. Like, jeez. She wasn't the most attractive. She's kind of a bigger lady to begin with, but I was just in this weird, and she kept asking me, "Am I okay? Am I okay?" Like, in that kind of trippy, like, I don't know. You tell me. Like, I don't feel like I'm okay at all.
And like, you're asking me, so
right.
I must not be.
And I just kept ordering water all night long because I knew two things. I'm like, humans drink water. So if I'm drinking water, that confirms and validates that I am in fact a human being. And there was questions about that during the night, like,
wow.
And I'm alive too. It's like I seem to be able to drink water and digest it.
It's not falling to the ground.
There's no holes out of me. Yeah, it's not just going through me. And I knew that I was on mushrooms, and I know that you drink water, eventually it's going to flush your system. So I'm like, this is going to speed up the system. Okay. I would look on the screens, the sports screens, and the Jays game was on, and it was like the Jays highlights. So I was like, okay, yeah, the Jays did beat the Yankees today, so I know I'm in present time. Like, there was times where I'm like, where am I in the future? Am I in the past? Like, I don't know what's like, am I dead? Am I alive? And I'm like, no, it's that was the game today. So a constant night of like coaxing myself back to reality and like shepherding myself from the edge of like a nervous breakdown. Well, my buddy Dave was having the best time ever.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
That's so good.
At one point at the end of the night, a guy I knew from high school was a bouncer, and so he was outside when we all got kicked out. He was there, and I'm like, oh my God, Dwayne, you have no idea how happy I am to see you, because I was still like, what reality am I in? And seeing someone I knew from so long like grounded me. Definitely. To be like, okay, I think everything's gonna be okay now. Exactly. And I just said to my buddy Dave, I'm like, Dave, I just want to go home, fall asleep, and wake up tomorrow not on mushrooms. And that's exactly what I did. We went back and just chugged a bunch of water and fell asleep, like in a fetal position. Of course, just like, please, I just want to wake up like a normal person tomorrow.
Wow.
And I survived. And then so I made the classic mistake. You don't do mushrooms with strangers. Like, you're supposed to do it with people you know, and at least initially until you 100%. Get a grasp on it. And B, do it in an environment that's comfortable to you, especially not a crowd. I did the opposite of what you're supposed to do with mushrooms. Basically. I went out in public in a place I wasn't familiar with all strangers, jam-packed in a sweaty, dark, low-ceilinged room.
There you go. I always tell people that the setting matters. It matters so much.
Terrifying. And now I've done them since then, the only other times I did them were like with comedian buddies, just kind of chilling either in a house, and then we'd go for like a late night neighborhood walk, or like out camping or at a lake or something safe and just super chill.
Yeah, exactly.
On a patio, like a rooftop patio at a friend's house, like on their deck or something like that. Yeah.
Jeez, that's amazing.
No idea we were going to be sharing mushroom stories today.
Man,
it's great.
I love.
We should do them sometime.
You.
A little bit. I'm not doing anything crazy like you, where I'm writing my thesis on it and
oh my God,
seeing what other dimensions I can get to.
There's so many though. Oh man, especially when you go there.
I don't know.
Psychedelic cats. You ever seen a psychedelic cat? Oh, all sorts of colors. A rainbow cat. Oh, there's some of those.
This is like a full-blown vision quest kind of thing, yeah?
Yeah.
All right.
Well, the first time I did mushrooms, the dog likes me. I like it. The first time I did mushrooms, it was with my buddy, and it was on pizza. And everything was fine, but my buddy kept saying, he's like, because I'd be really high, and he's like, 8 more hours. He'd just come, there'd just be a voice that would whisper in my ear.
Right.
8 more hours. And he'd just fade away, and I'd be like, fuck.
Right.
He made time like such a thing. I was like, time is so slow.
Right.
Yeah, so kept doing that. And then they put on Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas.
Oh, God.
Yeah, and they were at the part where like everybody's a lizard in the movie. And that I couldn't handle that.
Right.
And my buddy at the time, he couldn't handle it either. He was like, oh, and he turned all purple and shit. And he's like, we need real people. He's like, we need real people on the screen. He got really like upset. He's like, real people.
That was like me. I need to see human beings that I know that exist in this time and space, so I can be like reminded where I am.
Yeah, he got really upset. And then they put on Alice in Wonderland.
Oh my God.
And it was tripping me out, and I didn't want to watch it, and I'd never seen it before.
Oh, okay.
And I covered my eyes. I could still see it, and I was like, "This is weird."
Wow.
And I kept doing it, and I was like, "Fuck!" I'm like, "This is crazy."
Right.
Yeah.
And Alice in Wonderland's trippy to begin with. Mushrooms or no mushrooms.
Exactly, and it was a cartoon version too.
Right.
It wasn't like real people.
Right.
It was ridiculous.
Yeah, I'm not a crazy mushroom advocate one way or the other, but
yeah, of course,
all my experiences versus, with the exception of that one, have been super fun.
Yeah,
like one of the most fun times ever.
I actually quit smoking cigarettes because of mushrooms.
Yeah,
yeah. They have for some reason they do something that helps you with addictions. They reset your brain towards addiction, and they can like get you off of things.
Kind of center yourself a little bit.
Yeah. So I took like 7 grams, and I just thought about why I smoke cigarettes. I was smoking like 2 packs.
It's getting a little tingly right now. Like we just feel this like weird body buzz, or just like you see like you just clock something across the room, and it's just like slightly tweaked, where it's just like, oh, that seems a little more vibrant. Like I've seen that picture before, but it's never been this cool.
Yeah.
And then, so that's the first thing, just as it's tingly and like you get the little, I don't know about you, but I still get like giggly and a little giddy. Yeah. But then the other thing is how they last so long, and they kind of come in waves. Like you can kind of feel like, oh, I think I'm totally back to normal right now. And then like 10 minutes later, you're looking at the carpet and it's like reaching out to you and pulsating. And you're like, okay, we're still on this. It's good bang for your buck, I would say, for...
That's very true, right? Like it's cheap for what it does.
Right. You just have to have a nice solid 8 to 10 hours of your life that's the slate is kind of clear.
Yeah, you gotta have a day off.
What do you think would be the worst thing? Like say you have the mushrooms, you got it all lined up, and then right 5 minutes later you find out like, oh shit, you got to go do something, like spur of the moment emergency. What's the worst thing or the last thing you'd want to do on mushrooms?
Oh, the worst or the last? I think I would have to say probably, I guess any kind of driving wouldn't be too fun.
That'd be terrible.
Yeah, that'd be terrifying.
Like driving a plane. A helicopter.
I would come to terms with death. At that point, I'd get on the thing. I'd be like, listen, everybody, we've all lived long lives. We'll be okay. Don't worry.
I think you should just tell them that you're on mushrooms and you're not fit to fly this plane.
Yeah,
that would probably be a better thing to tell them.
And if anybody, there you go. You're thinking.
Right. At least give them an opt-out. Like, just so you know, I'm feeling pretty good about my chances, but I am super high on mushrooms right now. Someone
will come out of the woodwork like, oh, I'll take over. Don't worry.
Right.
But the worst, or the last thing, I guess, would be like an intimate conversation, like a conversation you don't want to have, like a negative conversation.
Right.
Like you're defriending someone in real life, and like you have to talk to them about. That would be rough.
You're telling your wife of many years that you want a divorce.
Yeah, something difficult.
Right after you drop mushrooms.
One time I was on mushrooms. I took like 4 grams, 5 grams, and then Rogers called, and they wanted to do a job in like the interview on the phone. I was like,
wow.
And it was just as it was kicking in, like exactly what you just said. I was just feeling it. I just finished drinking it all because I do it in tea.
Job interviews got to be right up there with the nightmare scenario.
It was just like I'm like, yeah, no problem.
Wow,
let's do it.
Bold.
I'm like, what's going on? And like we just talked, and like he really liked me. He's like, yeah, you're great, man. And,
real nice guy. Just giggled the whole time.
And then the first day of Rogers, I showed up and I was on LSD. Yeah.
Jesus.
because I didn't realize LSD was such a long high, and it was in Pickering, and I had to take the bus. It was a go bus, and so my commute was going to be like 3.5 hours. So I figured I'd take it in the morning, and I'd be done by the time I was like on the way to work. But it doesn't work like that.
Miscalculated.
It's like 12 hours. Yeah.
Jesus.
So I was high for the whole shift of work.
Doing what?
Call center.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's all right.
Yeah, it wasn't that bad. And we were getting trained. Yeah, we were doing training. So it was I was just around a lot of people I didn't know.
Yeah. But then, that would have been terrible.
Yeah. But then I saw a girl, and she had tattoos on her hands, and she had blue dreadlocks. And I was like, I'm going to be fine sitting beside this person.
Winked at her, and you're just like...
I was like, even if she figures it out, she's going to be cool.
We got this.
And she was. She's like, no problem. She's like, need some help?
Right.
I'm like, yeah, I do.
I feel like you probably have a pretty good insight to like learning if you're tweaked like that.
Yeah. That's why I did it every day for 30 days. Yeah. It was a good experience. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to do it again.
Wow, we're really peeling back the layers of the onion for you too.
I just wanted to, I thought I'd put that out there. You gave your story. I figured,
right.
Just so people don't think like that Lars guy's fucked up. I'll just top it for you there.
And if you're out there listening and you remember a time when you called to dispute your Rogers bill and you talked to the best guy ever for 3.5 hours, well, he's here right now.
Yeah, everybody, free data. If you were good on the phone with me, I'd give you free data for like 3 months.
See, I feel like we're very similar. I'm throwing out hot dogs to drunk people. You're giving away free data while you're on LSD.
I was like, fuck it. I don't care.
Yeah.
Anytime somebody was nice, I'd be like, you were great today. You want free data for 3 months? They'd be like, nah. I'd be like, it's free. I'm putting it on your account right now. They'd be like, what? I'd be like, all right, have a good day. Click.
And it's weird how we live in a society where somebody gives us something and we're like instantly suspicious. Like,
right away.
It's got to be like, you're scamming me.
Everybody was like, no.
Yeah.
Because they figured I was trying to like sell them something.
In 3 months, it's going to go up to $100, isn't it? Yeah. It's free for 3 months.
I was just like, it's free. Don't worry about it. And I just give it to them.
Wow.
I did that a lot.
And here we are.
Yeah, here we are. I'm not working there anymore. Surprisingly. Mm-hmm. LSD and giving away free stuff just doesn't work.
Hard to believe.
In a corporation. That's weird.
Seems to me that everyone who calls and speaks to you ends up never paying a bill ever again because they have a zero bill price after that.
And I'm just high. I'm like, listen, you gotta understand. They were really good people.
They were really cool, man. Here, try this.
Man. But let's go to acting, I guess. With the whole commercial thing, how did that come about, you getting into commercials? You said you moved to Toronto. You got an agent. Did the agent really push that forward? Like, because I always wonder how people get into the roles of like commercials and doing stuff
how
like
it works. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll give you the rundown. I was lucky enough. Sometimes getting an agent is tough enough because there's a lot, like there's only so many and there's a lot of competition. There's a lot of talent actors and comedians out there.
Definitely.
I was lucky enough to get a sort of a meeting. One of the owners of the London Yuck Yucks at the time used to be a talent agent, knew me from doing stuff at Yuck Yucks. So she sort of put in a recommendation for me to meet with a couple agents here in Toronto. Pretty like probably within 6 months of being here. And so that kind of got my foot in the door enough to meet with one. Otherwise, like I didn't really know. I was like, what the fuck is an agent? How do you find them? Like, are they you just look them up or what?
Yeah, definitely.
You can look them up. You can find them on a website, but often it's getting a referral from another actor or someone in the business that gets you in the door because they get a lot of unsolicited submissions from a wide spectrum of sometimes super professional working actors and then crazy delusional weirdos with no experience also trying to get their foot in the door. So
true.
I was one of the crazy delusional weirdos with no experience.
There you go.
And here I am. So then you sign. So you need headshots, a resume of things that you've done if you have done some stuff, and then if you have a demo reel, some sort of demo reel.
Yeah.
And really how it works is the casting directors, so a production, say that's an ad agency, they're going to make an ad for McDonald's.
Okay.
They'll post their what are called breakdowns, which are basically the descriptions of the roles. So we need a guy 30 to 40, blah, 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 overweight, skinny, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
different, like whatever the description is. And then each agent sees those there's a few websites that they use. Casting Workbook is one. There's another one called Actors Access.
Okay.
Where each actor has a profile, and then the agent is scrolling through all those breakdowns, looking at all the gigs, and then seeing who on their roster is appropriate, and then submitting them. So then the casting director gets all these submissions with the thumbnail of their headshot, maybe their resume if they don't know them. And then they'll bring in, like for a commercial, I don't know, they might bring in 50 people for the same role.
Oh, yeah?
And then they'll whittle that down to a callback, like a second audition of maybe, could be 5 people, could be 15 or 20. Like it's going to vary every time as far as numbers. But, and then only one person gets the gig.
Yeah,
so it's very competitive. And I heard someone told me that, like the average in Toronto, the average number of submissions per, like sort of just for a normal, like maybe say one line in a TV show or one line in a movie, is like 600 submissions.
Wow.
And then however many get brought in for an audition, and then one person gets it. So it's an interesting game in that for every single gig, only the lead horse gets anything.
Yeah.
Like you book it and everyone else just didn't book it, you know.
Wow.
So it's very competitive that way.
Wow. So then like the whole thing of having an agent, that pretty much is like, it's very necessary in what you do, like in order to get these things.
It's necessary. I mean, nowadays I'll say it is and it isn't. It's necessary if you want to have access to traditional, like Hollywood TV film situations.
Yeah, definitely.
Because I mean, it's sort of there's still some gatekeepers. Like not everyone they're not posting public always an open call. Like some movies they do put out an open call, and we're trying to find new talent.
Okay.
And so they'll accept video submissions from everyone. But for the most part, you need an agent to actually have access to that economy of gigs and economy of business and things like that. You just wouldn't know about the gigs without an agent. But I say that this day and age is probably the best time ever not to have an agent, because you put something on YouTube or Instagram, you can go super viral. Like if you have 1 million subscribers, then maybe you don't ever need a gig through an agent on a TV show, because you just have your own TV show. That's basically true. Right. That's very true. So nowadays I'm trying to consciously think of my career sort of 50% play the old game of audition for gigs and show up, and I'm just at the point where I'm getting small roles in like movies, small roles in TV, things for the most part. I mean, I was the ensemble lead in 20 episodes of sketch comedy Almost Genius, and I've done recurring parts, but for the most part, like I'm an unknown in terms of like Hollywood. Exactly. I don't have a name that is any weight. So you just kind of got to wait and work your way up the pecking order. You know, you get get seen by casting directors. They know you. Maybe they'll bring you in for the next one. Even if you didn't book a role, when I say only the lead horse wins in acting, only the lead horse gets the gig, but everyone who auditioned and auditioned well got seen by the casting director. Maybe director or producer saw them and was like, maybe not this time you were number 2, but we'll keep you in mind for something else.
True.
So as long as you're doing good stuff and you're doing good work and you're performing well and you're interesting and you're like a normal human being and not being a weirdo, that they're like, oh, that guy's crazy and I would never want to work with him, then it'll all go well. But I lost my train of thought where we were heading with this one. Where do we start there?
You were talking about you wanted to split it between the old way and now the new way.
So I kind of 50% playing that old game, because they can be some great gigs and you're working with top people, but then 50% creating my own content. So starting to write my own short films, getting involved in writing and co-producing my own web series. Even if it was just stupid little Instagram videos that showcase, like I had a weird, funny idea and I made a little Instagram video for it. So that that keeps my creative juices flowing regardless, so that you're never at the mercy of like, no one's giving me a job to be an idiot. Like it's all like, you know what I mean? Like, hey, I'm funny. Why am I? Like, how come I'm not getting these opportunities? Like some people, if you just wait for your agent only, it can be a very, very long haul, because
that's true.
there's like, think about how many A-lister known actors there are, and there's always new ones coming in every year. There's new grads, but you're competing with a bunch of people for limited jobs, really. And the one thing that is unlimited is social media now. So I think it's better than ever to be a performer or a creative type. It's a better time than ever, because there's no middleman. You don't have to find an agent, really.
Yeah, that's true.
If you have a great idea, you start filming it on green screen in your bedroom and just start producing a weekly series, and next thing you know, you got 10 million subscribers, and you're getting sponsors or sponsored Instagram stuff, or cutting deals with whatever. You know?
It's true.
And you write a book and sell your book to 1 million subscribers, you know?
Yeah, that's very true.
Sell t-shirts, whatever.
So then what do you, you're just making like your own type of content? Is it like, it's just, do you kind of keep it random on the content that you want to create, or do you want to like just gear towards comedy?
It's mostly been comedic, but it's been probably too random. Like, I should probably hone. There's something to say for consistency. Like, people get used to, okay, every Wednesday this guy releases a video, and this is kind of the niche of videos. Like, I have buddies who are you've probably seen them, the pun guys, Dan Shaba and John Nani, and they do all these pun videos.
Yeah. My girlfriend loves that shit.
Yeah.
She loves puns.
Right. They do, like, they go into the grocery store and they point at different things, and they'll pun the names of the grocery. And that's very consistent, because everyone knows what you get. Whereas right now, currently, I'm just having a random idea, and I do a random Instagram video on it. So I could probably hone it a little bit more. So if you were to have an elevator pitch with like a TV executive or a production company, they're like, oh, I understand what kind of show that would be. Okay. I mean, for me, it's probably my best vehicle would probably be some kind of sketch show, like if you were to give me a dream gig right now, like in traditional TV, it would be Saturday Night Live. Like, if I could only be on one thing, it would, like, you can have one gig with one existing TV show or film franchise for the rest of your career ever, and you only do one thing. I would say, okay, I'll take Saturday Night Live, and whatever happens after that happens.
Wow, that's a pretty big statement.
Well, I mean, I say that, but also if that became like Lars's Wednesday afternoon fuckery show, and it was just me, and I had 1 million people, and every day or every once a week I got to write down my funny ideas, and like which I already have that right now. So it's like, you can spend your whole life trying to get on Saturday Night Live, which is amazing, and if you get there, wicked. But if you don't, and because of not getting on it, you never did anything, then that's a waste too. So you might as well. Like, I'm trying to create my own stuff, do my own thing, and then
still keep that vision in mind.
When you get a chance to like level up, quote unquote, in the business with like a bigger gig or what seems like a bigger break or something, that's great when they come, but just focusing more on making my own stuff, making my own break. Yeah. Like, generally just being happy in life and not getting so like caught up in it.
Yeah, like, I was gonna say I was talking to like a network executive, and
tell them to put me in their thing. Call them up right now. I got this guy right here.
I got a guy. He wants to be in a thing.
Put me in your thing.
And the next thing you know, you're in a porno, and that's it.
You gotta start somewhere, right?
Isn't that where Sylvester Stallone started?
I don't know.
That's the rumor. They say that like he like
before Rocky, he dabbled in porn.
Yeah, just a little bit. You know,
I feel like that happened for a lot of people back in the day. And
pay the bills.
Especially pre-internet, where you could just do porn and it was just relegated to a VHS store somewhere.
That's very true. Wow.
But now you do it, and if it gets out, it's online forever.
It's everywhere. Right? It's everywhere. But what were we talking about?
You were talking to your TV executive.
Yeah. So
about putting me in her porno, her porno show. But porno sitcom porn, sketch comedy porn, maybe.
That could actually be pretty
cross some genres. Like, maybe not hardcore.
It's like if it was like The Office, and then all of a sudden they started fucking.
Yeah, all of a sudden Jim and Pam just went to town. Yeah, they were just like
bang, and it's like instead of it just being in a room where you actually just see it full on.
And what if maybe it's a little choose your own adventure? So you're like, I don't need to see Dwight and this lady
Angela.
I don't need to see Dwight and Angela bang it out today. I'm just gonna skip to the next scene. Yeah. Give people the option.
Oh man, that'd be pretty cool. watching
And then the actors have the option too. Like they're like, I don't want to film it. I'll be like, use a stunt double or CGI me.
That'd be amazing. Like Michael Scott and like the fat black guy, and they're like double teaming like
right.
You know, one of them.
Right.
Double teaming like Dwight or something. It's 2018. What do you think I was gonna say? A woman?
Right. This is HBO. This is a remake of The Office for HBO or for like some.
I could see you in there.
Showtime.
I could see you in there, definitely.
All right.
Let's make that happen.
Let's get the talks
going.
Fuck
it. Like you said, YouTube. Let's just put it up.
Yeah. What? Instagram. Just let's go do it. But right now we just have you, me, and a dog, so we need a few extra people for this to work out. I think.
Yeah, at least one.
Preferably women. Yeah. Yeah.
But she was really like into the whole world of things, like when you're saying like get caught up in all of it, like she seemed like she was very caught up in it, and like there's no other way to be when you're like an executive and you're like immersed in TV and show running and all this stuff. But how do you stay normal? How do you stay normal and not get caught up in all of it all the time? You know what I mean?
You got me.
It's like I'm not normal.
I mean, I'm definitely not, and I don't think anyone who is a full-time actor, artist, comedian, musician, like they're by default not normal because they're definitely going against the usual stream of what most people do in society. But I've personally tried to just remember. I mean, it's comedy. Mostly what I'm doing is comedy, so I'm not really getting too caught up in the weight of my story, and maybe I should need to do more of that too, where I'm like finding scripts or writing something that actually means something and has a message or a meaning or whatever.
That's how I feel.
But I just try to remember that all of like no matter what I do career wise, I'm gonna die regardless. So
that's a good way to look at
it. No matter what I'm doing in my career, I'm also my life is more than my career. Like it's, I mean, it is. I'm constantly thinking about gigs and writing and auditions and learning lines, but I'm also remembering that that's not the whole world. Like you do kind of got to step out of your bubble and realize. I mean, a lot of it for me is just gratitude of like generally being alive. I'm alive. I'm healthy. I get to do something where most days I pretty much do things that I want to do. Like I'm not a slave to someone else's agenda for a paycheck. So I try and remember that. I try to spend time. I need to do this more. Spend time with people who aren't in the business. A lot of my friends are comedians and actors, and that can get a little insulated where like all of your conversations are about scripts and about auditions and about gigs and just all that kind of stuff. And it gets a little pretentious. It's like, okay, come on, you fucking play make-believe for a living and you're an adult. Like, you know what I mean? Like I have, that's how I see it, I'm not super hardcore into it where some people are so heavy, like, oh, I'm an artist and I'm making a difference by telling stories and I'm changing the world. And I mean, all that stuff is amazing, but I don't think I've done that. I'm goofy, lighthearted for the most part, and just doing things to get people to crack smiles. So it's not that weighty. Like people are solving like major economic and environmental issues and solving like curing diseases and digging ditches and wells for Africans and all kinds of like meaningful shit. And I'm kind of playing make believe and goofing around. You know, so but that's important too because people need escapism. Like entertainment is escapism for people. So I don't want to I am an artist and a performer, so I don't want to like say it's all bullshit and nonsense, but it kind of is, you know, like but it's important. I think it's important. I think it's necessary. People need that release. People obviously like to go home and have an hour to watch their Netflix show or to go out in an evening and catch a theater show or to laugh at a stand-up show. Like I've done shows where people came up to me at the end of it and said, "Thank you for tonight." And they tell me about some horrible scenario that they're going through in their life, and they're like, "I really needed this just to come out and laugh." One in particular, I did a show in Waterloo, and there was a sort of elderly lady in the crowd that stood out. Like it was a younger crowd.
Okay.
And so I always often involve the audience, and I'll talk to people and goof around, and not in a negative way, but sort of usually more building them up and making them kind of a character in the show a little bit. And so I sort of attributed her to like being like the queen or like the show queen, because she was very like, she was dressed like she like in her Sunday's best sort of thing. And she had a good time, and everyone had a good time. It was a good show. And then at the end, another lady came up to me and was like, I wanted to let you know my mother had such a fantastic time. She just lost her husband 3 weeks ago after a long and shitty, drawn out battle with cancer. Wow. And she just really we sort of had to drag her out tonight. Like she's been wanting to get out and do something fun, but is also still mourning him, and obviously not feeling up for it. Or sometimes people might have a feeling of guilt, like,
definitely,
he's dead and I'm out having fun, 3 weeks later, you know. And she was like, thank you so much for this meant a lot, like it felt really good. So that is important, and that's happened to me several times where people have come up to me, or that happens. And the other thing that happens is sometimes people in the crowd have told me, I've been doing it long enough that I have met people who message me later and say like, well, how do I get started? Or I'd always wanted to do this, or you know, like I've been thinking about doing stand up, like where are there open mics? And I've been able to connect people.
Really?
Same thing with acting, like new people, like, oh, I want to get in, or up and coming actors who, like, I have introduced people to my agent and at least got them a meeting, and sort of help pay some of that forward. So that there's an importance to that. I think a lot of my shows in career I've been fortunate enough to have the feeling like it's inspired other people too, in one shape or form. So that's kind of neat.
That's really
to go from like the brand new guy who doesn't know anything, trying to make my own way, to now like it's kind of weird where like, fuck, this guy's asking me for advice. This is weird. Like, because you still like, I feel like in show business especially, you still often feel like you don't know what you're doing, just because it's so random. There's no set career path or A, B, C, D logical steps. Like everyone has a different story. Everyone has different projects, passions, ups and downs. Like it's very random.
Very true.
For people. So I don't know. That's my long answer to
the long ones are the best.
To how I deal with it. Yeah, I mean, I just don't think it's that in the grand scheme of things. I think people should just do something that they enjoy doing, something that makes them happy. Hopefully something that also contributes to others. So like if everyone's just like, oh, I'm doing things that are fun and happy, but they're completely self-centered and not helping other people in some way, shape, or form, they're probably missing the point. But
that's true.
But I don't think people should just do drudgery things and things that they're miserable, or like they're waiting their whole life, like, oh, when I retire, then I'll have a life. That's for me, it was starting stand-up and doing all this stuff was kind of like I mean, I was 31, so it wasn't quite, hopefully not midlife, but it was a bit of a epiphany, kind of like take stock of my life, is like, what am I really want to be doing? I was working a corporate job and found that I wasn't inspired and motivated beyond like a couple weeks. Like a regional manager would come in, do a rah pump up meeting about the next quarters and the contests and stuff, and I'd get fired up, and I was also in management too, so I had responsibilities with that company. But I just started to thinking, like, what am I really doing here? Like, it was financial services, so I was making good money. It was corporate, lots of growth opportunity. It was pretty positive culture in the company. But it was like, is this really what I'm meant to do? And just started paying attention to other comedians, seeing people on YouTube. And just started having a feeling of either I try this or it's going to bug me for the rest of my life. And I wasn't willing to do that. I was like, okay, I need to take a shot at that too. And something that added to that, which I'll share with you, is I have two older brothers, one of which died when he was 33, and he was a musician and also a talent agent in New York City when he died, basically in the prime of his career, or on the upswing of his career. Like some of his music projects were getting off the ground. He was an agent with ICM Talent, which is one of the top like 3 or 4 talent agencies in the country. So by day, he had a music agent gig where he was discovering new talent, helping produce and mold their careers and launch them. And then at his projects, and he was diagnosed with cancer at 32. It was probably, what would it have been, February of 2003, and he died by December of 2003. Wow. Like right in the, like he was like killing it, living in New York City, kind of realizing his dream, finding his groove, and then had that taken away from him. So I think that was, I didn't start. No, thank you. Yeah, I mean, shit happens. Everybody's gone through something, I find, for the most part in their life. But that for me was, it took me 6 years later, but that for sure had an impact of seeing someone fulfilling their dreams and going at it, and then having that taken away from them. And then here I am, not even really fully living mine. So it's like that Jim Carrey, I think Jim Carrey had a quote from a commencement speech that he gave, is like, you can fail doing what you don't love, so you might as well try what you love, and maybe you succeed, maybe you fail, but you're at least doing something that is inspiring to you and fulfilling to you. So I think that in getting me started was a big like momentum builder, or reason for it. And then it's something that I think about, like anytime his birthday comes around, I think of that, like where he would be, what he would be doing. Like he died before all of social media, and he was always one to be on the cutting edge of any technology fads and stuff. So I feel like he would have really been, he would have been cute, very, very quick to adopt YouTube and Facebook and Instagram and all this Snapchat and everything. So part of that is a reminder, like, don't take this opportunity for granted. Use the time, like, but also enjoy it too. Like, don't nose to the grindstone so much, working for this fake pretend goal that you've made the mecca of show business accomplishment, but then missing your life in the meantime and being miserable. Like, you got to kind of find a balance. What time is it? How are we doing on time?
It's 2:40.
Okay.
When do you got to get out of here?
I should probably bounce pretty quickly. I got to get back to the studio here.
Oh, do you?
I've got an actor coming in to record a self-tape.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Did you drive here?
Yeah.
Okay. So you'll be fine. I was gonna drop you off.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's fine. That was really.
We can do part 2.
Yeah. Don't even worry. It's been like almost an hour. It's been an hour and 37 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we got a little deep there, I think, but this is some real talk.
Yeah, like, that's really cool because, like, you never know when this is all gonna be over. Because my dad actually passed away last year, November. He had cancer too. He had prostate cancer, and he completely was in love with music. I think he like wanted to like be a musician in some kind of way,
right?
Because like he was completely like enthralled with music all the time. And you just never know. And he had a lot of relationships that he didn't get to mend because he was so old and this and that. So you never know when when the train's gonna stop. So you gotta take advantage of all that shit, on all the things you want to do. Definitely. Yeah. It's really cool hearing that from you, because like I'm 32 right now, and like I've had like stomach issues and stuff like that.
Right.
Like they're linking it to like what my dad had and stuff. So I got to get on it then.
No time like the present, man.
Yeah.
It's like Gary Vaynerchuk always says, you got one at bat, right? And you had a chance at like 1 in 400 trillion, or 400 trillion to one of being a human. It's like, it's like we don't know when it's going to end, but we know for sure it's going to end. Like unless we get lucky and we're like the cyborg / like AI kind of, like they keep our brains mixed with a computer and we live forever. I don't know.
Yeah, who knows?
But we can't bank on it, right? Yeah. So you might as well take a run at it. You know?
That's really cool. I think that's a cool place to end with this.
Sure.
Go after it.
Get it.
Let's wrap it up. Thank you so much, guys. It's been The Process. Peace.